Good afternoon, friends. It's Wednesday the 1st of April 2020 and I'm just taking a little walk down to the summer house, my little writing hut where I often sit and think. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit today about sitting and thinking and writing. My mother was such an easy person to talk to, but one area in which I did struggle with her was in trying to get her to talk about her life, and especially her earlier life. Her common response was always, "Oh, who wants to hear about that? I didn't do anything interesting." Well, the answer, of course, was that I wanted to hear about it, and now she's no longer with us, it would be so lovely to be able to read those memories, all her stories about the whole of her life, and remember my life with her and, relate them both to my sons and their partners. Well, I'm fortunate enough to say that I've already spent some time with one of the boys' partners, and we've been swapping family stories, and it's really fascinating to see how some things change and are different, but so many things stay the same. This is relevant to the current situation. We're all confined to our homes. Many of us are unable to access our normal routines, going to work and shopping. Many of the things that made up part of our ordinary, everyday, predictable and comfortable lives in the past will, for the foreseeable future, be different. Everything's changed. As the Depression and the Second World War were for my mother, this time of pandemic illness and community lockdown will be for us our extraordinary time, alongside the ordinary. But even though ordinary days have become, for the moment, extraordinary, it will also, in time, become our daily routine, and we will learn to cope. I'm already noticing so very many things that take me right back to my childhood, in the way my mother managed her daily life, and in my case it's memories that I can learn from, ways of coping that I can pull up from my past, which wasn't wartime but just after, and still really very influenced by wartime. But how grateful I am to also have the diaries, notebooks and particularly collections of recipes and cooking methods that were written down both by members of my family and my husband's family, and also a long string of women stepping back into the past. They recorded their everyday ordinary, even in extraordinary times. And I'd like to urge anybody watching this to record your everyday ordinary right now, because one day it may be of great interest and help to others who come after us, and as we age, to ourselves. The minutiae of our daily lives so often gets lost in the mists of history, so perhaps we can all take a tiny little contributory step to ensure that that doesn't happen, and that the stories of ordinary people, the events of their day-to-day lives, and how they just carried on, calm or otherwise, are captured and passed on. Now, it's usually been the gaze of a male eye that's been recorded in the chronicles of great events, and it's no accident that a great deal of social history has been discovered by reading women's journals. Even the smallest fragment of a record, one or two lines in their diary or in a letter when they were able to grasp a moment, has been invaluable in discovering what life was like for the broader but unheard population, those that were not recorded by published histories and chronicles. Of course, I'm aware that a certain level of literacy was necessary. The ability to just be able to write, which we mostly take for granted nowadays, wasn't always universally available. But right here, right now, if you're able to access a pen or a pencil and a notebook, you have the means with which you can create something utterly unique. You can create a record of your outer and inner life, and I'll talk more about that in another film. You're able, at virtually no cost, to access a place where you can capture the pleasures and the frustrations of your life right here and right now. Remember that you don't have to share your book of thoughts with anyone, unless you want to. But if you do want to, you can create an absolute treasure which you can hand on to those around you and those that come after you. Even if you think your life is ordinary and mundane, it is absolutely unique. Never forget it and treasure that fact. Now, in my journal writing workshops, one of the most common things that people say to me when they start is, I don't know where to start. So if you're encouraged to find that exercise book and pen, you might like to start simply, right here, right now, by looking around you and recording what you see at this very moment. What's the landscape of your everyday life right now? What's on your desk? What's on the kitchen table? What's all around you in the garden? Wherever you are, take a few minutes to just look and listen. What can you hear? Birdsong? Traffic? Music on the radio? The news on the television? Just make a record of it all, everything that catches your attention. And when you've recorded what you see and what you hear, what do you think about it all? How have things changed since your last piece of writing? How have they stayed the same? And if open-ended writing feels daunting to you, set a timer for just 10 minutes, write down the date, and off you go.